Black Adam has officially been released to the public, a film that has been in circulation since the dawn of time, with The Rock having talks of starring in this role since 2007. To say that this has been highly anticipated is an understatement, as the roar for this film has only been rising and rising with time. This anticipation is only heightened on top of the massive amount of pressure amidst Warner Bros. Discovery questionable content cutbacks. Some people are even labeling this as DC's last attempt at seeing if this discombobulated universe they call the DCEU will even work. Now with seemingly everything on the line, the future of DC now lays in the hands of Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
Oh my god, bro. Oh man, what the man? Get your on, man.
Black Adam follows the story of Kondak and how it's been the hive for corrupt international entities to, you know, do corrupt things. But have no fear, as Black Adam is here to stop them. Back from his 5,000-year slumber, this vengeful man with the power of gods is ready to liberate his city from outside corruption, and he's willing to fight tooth and nail in order to achieve it. But oh boy, it seems as if his way of doing things isn't reflective of what a true hero is, a moral struggle that is casted upon by the JSA, led by the veterans of Hawkman and Dr. Fate, with the newbies of Atom Smasher and Cyclone. Dread spreads throughout Kondak through these physical and philosophical battles, as Black Adam truly learns and recognizes what it means to be a true savior. Yeah, this movie could be better. A general tip when watching this is to not waste time paying attention to anyone that isn't Black Adam or the JSA, and even the JSA is optional. The supporting Kondak native characters spend more time catching Black Adam up on what he's missed in the past 5,000 years than actually being characters. The movie tries to do stuff like have this cute buddy cop relationship between The Rock and the child character of Amon, and it just falls flat on his face. It's not even like it's a bad idea or anything, it's just that the poor kid can only do so much with lines as introspective and deep as a kiddie pool. Like, he had an inspirational speech towards the end of the film to really rally the people of Kondak to join his cause and fight for evil, and it truly would have put Optimus Prime in a coma for how tame and boring it was. The other main Kondak lead is Isis, mother of Amon, and she is even less interesting. She pretty much becomes immediately irrelevant after she serves her main purpose of freeing Black Adam. Then you have the main villain, who really only exists because Warner Bros. Was too scared to commit to a villain Black Adam for just one movie. But I guess if you have such a big name as Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, peak marketability is probably a top priority. We were instead treated to a lackluster villain number 43 who didn't feel convincing or threatening or engaging enough to make him one of the focal points of opposition for the story, yet he still ends up with the flashy fire powers by the end of it, until he gets murked. Alright, let's stop being around the bush. Let's talk about the main prize of the whole film, one that I've referenced throughout this video so far, and the biggest draw of the entire DC franchise. Let's talk about the JSA. I had zero expectations. Alright. Let me actually stop being around the bush and post the real star of the show. Coming from that one movie in which he's an action star being sweaty in the jungle, we now officially have Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson in the DCEU. The Rock, being the only part of the movie that people actually cared about, was automatically the best part of the film. He did his punches, he did his one-liners. We dang near got everything in the Rock package except an eyebrow raise. And guess what?
This mother don't miss.
No, he's good.
That mother don't miss, man.
He's good.
He didn't have to recreate the original Black Adam story. He didn't have to put on a groundbreaking, Oscar-winning, having critics drooling in awe performance of having a mental breakdown or something. Bro not only was the only person from Kondak to not have an accent, but the only person shown to switch from one language to another without ever being shown to know the second language. And guess what? It still hits.
That's why he's the MVP! That's why he's the GOAT! The GOAT!
If you expected anything different because he was now playing such a morally great character, you would be wrong. Because if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But in all seriousness, they watered down the mess out of the Black Adam story to the point that he didn't really feel like a villain like they were maybe trying to go for. Heck, he didn't even really feel like an anti-hero in that regard either. The only point of contention to even classify him as such was the fact that he wasn't the original person chosen to have the wizard's powers. He murks villains, and that's it. The way the JSA were hunting him down, you would have thought he was like kicking hamsters or something. But really, he ended up saving his people from foreign invaders that had high-tech lethal weaponry that could even damage him. I don't know, it's just like looking on screen, I can't see Black Adam. I can't see a man with raw, unfiltered emotions masked behind a distorted yet heartfelt worldviews. What I see is Shazam, but less funny and old, and probably more expensive too. And if that's the interpretation they were going for, fine, I guess. Just don't gift wrap it as something more than what it actually turns out to be. They have pretty much wasted over a decade-long hype because they wanted to play it safe. And that bothers me a bit, especially because you have the components to be something different. Like me personally, if I'm in charge, I'm making sure that Black Adam is the villain protagonist of the story. Have him do his evil deeds with glimpses of hope thrown in to have fans rooting for him. Honestly, just copy and paste the Vegeta story and we would have been good. You know, this is most likely going to come down as my most challenging video to make to date, with the hardest part about making this video being actually finding something meaningful to talk about, because Black Adam was just a pretty surface level experience to be had. It was a DC movie that took every safe route there was to take, which is inherently the worst kind of DC movie to make. Just like, leave that stuff to Marvel. Like, for as such an atrocity that Suicide 2016 was, or heck, even the Green Lantern movie, at least I can pass the time making fun of it. I'm serious, for a guy who enjoys deep diving into films and television culture, I would prefer a good dog movie over a boring one. I genuinely think it would be easier for me to spend the next 30 videos talking about Jared Leto's Joker grills than spending the next 20 minutes talking about anything memorable about the story, which is almost nothing except the action. The action was kind of cool. The movie just felt like an auto-generated film that had a checklist of story beats it had to hit before it clocks its eventual final runtime of just 2 hours long, which I was genuinely surprised to find out it was that long when doing research, because I feel like what I pulled away from this movie was less than what I would get from like a 30-minute episode of Atlanta. Again, it just felt way too artificial for such a critical piece of world building it was supposed to be. For example, the city of Kahndaq is such a vital point to the Black Adam mythos, a place that's the core behind his distinct morality views, pretty much the only place that distinguishes Black Adam from an anti-villain to a straight-up villain, and it pretty much feels like the set of a low-budget, made-for-TV movie at times. It didn't feel like a country of oppressed people rallying for their great champion. It felt like a bunch of extras throwing up gang signs to get The Rock's attention. But I don't know, that's just me. Empty buildings were such a common thing for most, if not all, scenes, and in the final battle of the people of Kahndaq rallying against the evildoers, it felt like only 15 people showed up. The bottom line and the moral of today's video is to say, Black Adam is definitely a film.
Oh man, what the man?